Welcome to our fourth ever Art Slides lecture. Today's subject is early Aegean art. The word Aegean references the cultures that flourished on the islands in the Aegean Sea and parts of mainland Greece. There are three main cultures from this area: Cycladic, Minoan, and Mycenaean. These cultures overlap chronologically with the dynastic periods of ancient Egypt, and there is significant evidence that they had some contact with one another. Most of today's pieces come from the Minoan and Mycenaean civilizations, but we will also see some Cycladic art. Our first piece is the snake goddess from Knossos on the island of Crete. Crete was home to an important Bronze Age culture known as the Minoans. They are given this name because, according to Greek mythology, Crete was the home to King Minos. Very little is known about Minoan religion. There are numerous shrines, often on mountain or hilltops, that seem to be dedicated to particular gods. Some recurring motifs throughout these shrines are images of priests and priestesses, bulls, and double axes. Another motif that we see frequently in Minoan culture is that of a man or a woman dominating animals, such as this figure of a woman holding snakes. We don't know precisely what the significance of this figure was, but we do know that snakes in Minoan culture did not have the evil connotation that they do today. As creatures of the earth, they were often associated with fertility and agriculture. This particular figure is made of clay and is fired with a glass glaze. And in case you were wondering, yes, that is a cat on her head, and no, I do not know why. Among our more recent discoveries is the Cycladic civilization of Thera on the island of Santorini. Theran culture has given us many examples of fresco paintings. No, these are not painfully bubbly paintings with the refreshing taste of lemons and limes. Fresco is the technique of painting on freshly laid, still wet, lime plaster, and it is something that we will continue to see throughout Greek and Roman civilizations. Michelangelo's painting of God and Adam on the Sistine Chapel, for example, is a fresco. This painting of children boxing is important mainly because it displays artistic conventions similar to those of ancient Egypt. The figures exist on a flat plane, and while their heads are in profile, their eyes face us directly. Unlike Egyptian art, however, these figures side more with Minoan styles in that their bodies are rather rounded and display more of a sense of motion. Going back now to Minoan culture, I don't know who created these slides and whoever thought that jumping back and forth between cultures was a good idea, but bear with me here. In the early 20th century, archaeologist Sir Arthur Evans set out to find evidence of cultures on Crete. In his search, he discovered the palace at Knossos, a massive labyrinth-like complex of buildings that likely housed rulers of Crete. It is built out of stone masonry, using post and lintel construction. It should also be noted that Minoan lintels and columns taper at the bottom, a style peculiar to their architecture. Because Crete is a fairly isolated island, the palace is not fortified by protective walls. Throughout the palace are examples of frescoes such as this one, the Leaping Bulls. It depicts a charging bull, two girls, and one boy. The girl on the left grabs the bull by the horns, taking what was meant to be metaphorical advice literally. The boy flips over the back of the bull, while the girl on the right waits to catch him. While we don't know much about Minoan religion, it seems clear that bulls were sacred. This painting may depict some sort of ritual sacrifice or athletic event. Again, as in Egyptian art, girls are portrayed with lighter skin, while boys are portrayed with darker skin. Moving on now to Mycenaean culture, we have the Mask of Agamemnon. As you may know, Mycenae is the legendary home of King Agamemnon, the man who led the attack on King Priam in the Trojan War to avenge the kidnapping of his sister-in-law, Helen of Troy. After the war, legend holds that Agamemnon returned to Mycenae, where he was murdered by his wife, Clytemnestra, who had taken a new lover in his absence. In Mycenaean culture, royalty were buried in large, round, domed tombs, constructed of rectangular bricks. These domes, called tholoi, the Greek word for round buildings, were covered in dirt and sealed with stones. Many death masks, such as this one, are believed to have been placed on bodies as a way of preserving their identity in the afterlife. While we do not actually know who this mask was made for, it is an excellent display of Mycenaean goldwork. This small piece is one of the most recent discoveries, only revealed in 2017. Discovered in the Griffin warrior tomb near the palace of Nestor in Pylos, it is just over an inch long and is believed to have been used as a seal for stamping. It depicts a warrior, having already defeated one opponent, while stabbing a second. It is remarkably advanced for its age, anticipating the work and styles of the classical period yet to come. Unlike Minoan civilization, those in Mycenae were much more involved in regular warfare. This is reflected by their cities being fortified by strong stone walls. At the center of Mycenaean cities were fortified citadels to which citizens would seek refuge while under attack. Walls around these citadels were constructed of large, rough-cut, irregular stone blocks. The Lion Gate, seen here, marks the entrance through one of these walls into the citadel. The doorway itself is done in the post and lintel style, but is topped with a triangular relief sculpture depicting two lions. The lions flank a Minoan-style column, meaning that it tapers at the bottom, which is also a symbol of the nature goddess, thus showing the lion's deference to her. Alright, that's all I've got for you today. So now imagine that I'm playing some light and pleasingly non-committal elevator music to provide a more satisfying ending to our lecture.